What is going on, everybody? This is Raj from Eastside Rage, and with a franchise that took heavy inspiration off of the Resident Evil series 5 years ago, it comes back with another sequel that brings that whole survival horror feel to it. And it's hitting shelves, and it's taken the survival horror community by surprise. I, haven't heard about this franchise up until like a couple of months ago on a thread, and I'm gotta say I'm glad that I found this franchise and experienced the first game and experienced this one. This game does the best, and it surpasses its predecessor in almost every way. And I'm glad to say that Dual Effect and P-Cube got it right, and you should give it a try if you're a horror fan. Now let's just, get into this review so I can give you a rundown on what this game is about. The story takes place a few months after the events at Wellburger Hospital. You play as Caroline Walker, a young lady who has time-traveling powers that rescued her twin sister Anna from the hospital by traveling back in time and returning to present day in 1994 so she wouldn't be killed at the end. Which is why Anna is still a child, and she's trying to raise her and live a normal life. But after her sister keeps having these weird spasms, and she's acting like she's all possessed, and she's seeing these horrified visions, Caroline takes her to Villa Hess, a remote town in the country of Chile, with a bunch of nuns in a creepy looking church. Let's be for real. What could go wrong? As you can figure out, everything, because turns out it's ran by this creepy old bitch named Mother Lucia, a knockoff of Osmond Sadler from Resident Evil 4, who knew her grandfather Nora, who is the main antagonist of Part 1 and wishes to continue where he left off. To bring back this god called Nautilus or Nautilus. I forgot, how to say his name. But anyway, she wants to use that god and basically control every other living thing through it. Like through this thing called the puppet virus. It's a knockoff of Las Plagas from Resident Evil 4. You can see that it takes a lot of inspiration off of that game plot-wise. Then use the power to rule over humanity as well. By doing so, she needs Caroline's sister Anna. Okay, Caroline ends up getting knocked out, wakes up in a town where there's monsters and spirits all over the place. Her sister is missing. Almost everyone's dead except for this guy named Miguel, an investigator, I believe, that is trying to figure out what's going on, and possibly a love interest to Anna. Also, there's this old dude in a wheelchair named Carlos, who so happens to be a priest, and every time I turn around, he's near somebody that she says tried to kill him first, and this old psychiatrist named Isabella that told her about Villa Hess. She's actually a good person. Okay, so basically Caroline, she must explore the town of Villa Hess and gain clues and fight and avoid horrifying enemies so that, she could get her sister back and Lucia doesn't succeed in possibly taking over the world. As you can see, the story takes heavily inspiration off of Resident Evil 4, and the world does feel like Silent Hill. However, unlike its predecessor, Tormented Souls 2, it seems like it's doing its own thing. Because it is a good thing, because I felt that the first game was trying too hard to be like Resident Evil. It was good, but it didn't feel like its own thing. This game has a lot of things going for it. Let me just, talk about the gameplay, and you might see where I'm going. As I said before, the gameplay has that old school survival horror feel. You have to conserve your ammo and health, because if you run out, you're going to be fucked harder than getting plowed by the booty war on 5 honey packs. Unlike the first game, it takes place in 6 locations in Villa Hess. You have the convent, the mall, the processing plant. It took way too fucking long to get out there. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking. The cemetery, the school, and the church. Also, the game is 16 to 20 hours long. Took me about 15 hours to complete, but I looked it up. But it's way longer in comparison compared to the one game that takes about 8 to 10 hours, and it was just one spot. They really upgrade that. And also, once they're unlocked, you're allowed to backtrack in them just in case you miss something. There's also a few areas that aren't major you could visit in the town to get other stuff and explore. the level design is greatly put together. All the puzzles and the things and the items you need, I mean, are there in the same area, so you don't have to spend time running back and forth. Carsville has like a fucking, like you're fucking playing tag, fucking playing in hide and go seek or deliver guy, bro. Like it just works so well. The only time I had to backtrack was to the comment to break down a certain wall to get an item to get the true ending. Not gonna spoil that. People alright, as for, what's good and bad, people often say the cemetery and the processing plant, was the worst part of the game. Yeah, due to the cemetery having those annoying ghosts, game-breaking bugs, and narrow corridors, and the processing plant being too damn long. I couldn't get that. However, for me, it's the mall. At least those two areas served to the storyline, and it felt connected to the town. The mall feels like it was just feeling. It feels like a whole huge bump in the road, a big ass traffic jam that stops you from getting to your destination. It does not really have, I don't know if I missed anything, but it don't feel like it got any real lore to the town or anything like that. Maybe, like I said, maybe I'm wrong, but I just didn't like it. But yeah, I would say outside of that, my favorite spot was either the convent or the school. The convent feels like, it has that Resident Evil feel to it. It's like you're in a creepy, it's not really the church, but it's like in this creepy, area or whatever. There's a, morgue, there's this library, there's this, there's that, there's a bunch of things in it. The school felt like Silent Hill, like, a bunch of creepy ass things coming towards you. They, nailed it. Bunch of classrooms and everything. Bunch of sinister ass puzzles. They got it. Yeah, they really did it. Or whatever. But, moving on, I would say there's, other thing. There's also, the other world. You can, go back there to alter time and face tougher enemies and get, items that you wouldn't see in the regular world. Okay, so they got that, I guess, from Silent Hill 2. So, I guess we can move on to the combat. It relies mostly on tools that are put together. Put together, really. They're basically, you get this nailer, you get this, pipe-like shotgun pause. What else do you get? You also will get, you could get a chainsaw, you could get, these are melee weapons I'm talking about. Crowbars, you could get a sledgehammer to break down walls and hit people. You also could get this electrifier. You can get, something that could blast cannons or whatever. Very powerful stuff, but they're not actual weapons. Also, this crossbow with the acid bow. They're not weapons, actual, guns, but they are weapons. They're weapons that you could use to face off against enemies. It's very creative and it pretty much works, to be honest. You can also dodge in this game, which is also helpful. This offers different weapons and tools you'll need to go against enemies throughout the world, and trust me, there are a lot of enemies. The game also has basically the same inventory system. However, you could also switch. You don't have to go into your inventory now. You could switch through 4 weapons that you could put in your quick slots. That is a lot faster instead of pulling it out. It's your choice, really. Okay, basically they got the weapons in the inventory down pack. I really don't got a problem with it. And there's also a time and a place for going Rambo and running away like a little bitch ass nigga, and you shouldn't be afraid of it, if it's need be. If there's enemies in your way, send that fucker straight to God. However, if there's too many, just dip, bro. Just dip. Get the fuck out of there. Because you don't want to be surrounded. You start wasting ammo, get killed, or you waste your ammo, you don't got nothing left and you're screwed, bro. I've heard of instances where people had to, fucking start this game over because they were making that same mistake. Don't let this game fool you. You ain't going, sometimes you'll have the ammo, sometimes you won't. Well, moving on, I went to the, boss fights. There, are plenty of boss fights, which I feel is an improvement. The last one didn't have a lot. I think there was just one, if I remember correctly. Wasn't really. I mean, whatever. But and they do provide a challenge, and you do need to use a puzzle to beat them. The Harvester is my favorite boss fight because of its simplicity and it's straight to the point. Slow him down by hitting him, shock him, and then hit him with a harpoon a couple of times. The last fight with Nautilus honestly felt rushed and very unoriginal. You know, honestly, all you gotta do is dodge, hit his tentacles until they break, and dodge his power-ups. It wasn't really that difficult once you got the hang of it. Okay, as for cons with this game, the only real game-breaking glitches I encountered about 5 times in my play. Well, my bad. Not the only the cons, my bad, really were game-breaking glitches. They are a problem. You know, I encountered 5 in my playthrough, and they were all soft lock glitches. Like, bro, like I'm doing a puzzle, the game just soft locks, bro. And I lost, when that first happened, I lost like an hour of progress because I did not save. That pissed me off, and I almost was about to install the game and take 2 points off of it because it kept happening. Like, it feels like they rushed out this game. Come on, like, get it together. Also, the animations are very stiff. Yes, I get it's based on an old game and it's an improvement from the original, but sometimes it's hard to get away and you do get hit or whatever, and enemies sometimes do feel a little faster than you. And the puzzles are very hard. Now, I never met a game where I needed help to most of them. Most of them are just very vague for no fucking reason. And I get the fact that most survival horror fans are gonna say, oh, nah, you're just a bitch, this game is for people who can think, who are smart and everything, blah, blah, blah. Look, bro, shut the fuck up. Puzzles should not be, should not be these Island Wake 2 puzzles where you have to fucking pick a number from 0 to 100 and figure it out yourself. No, complex puzzles. I like puzzles. You've seen what I play. I love horror games with good puzzles, but when they're just constantly overused, not constantly overused, constantly like too difficult, too vague to the point where you don't know what to do, it just don't make no fucking sense. Thank God for the internet, because I would have been stuck on that game. And and it does drag out those sections with those difficult puzzles, bro. Yes, I love the puzzles, but Jesus, make them make fucking sense. The music is phenomenal. They really know what they're doing. I don't know what group of musicians helped them, but I put it up to them. They capture the feel, rather it be soothing or horrifying. The safe room music, the boss music, like the menu, it's perfect. The sound design is great too, because it really ramps up the pressure. You could hear something going on. You could hear something's going on, you're in trouble, and it's very unsettling. Even the footsteps, sometimes I would think somebody's in the same room with me or whatever. And I guess the graphics, they may look outdated. I get it, but it is supposed to be like, it's not a high budget studio, I get that, but graphically, the environments, it looks good, it looks great. Honestly, the art style works. Maybe they're not pushing for total hardware capability, but it's good to look at. It's not horrible to look at. And like, moving on to the polish and optimization, yes, I feel y'all could have done better than that. It was clearly rushed, and I played it late and was still experiencing game-breaking bugs. Put out fixes. I hope they did, because that don't make no sense while I'm doing a puzzle and the game just freezes on me or whatever, or how I'm doing a fucking elevator puzzle and the elevator puzzle just doesn't fucking move. Anyway, I guess we can move on to the verdict. Tormented Souls 2 is a perfect example that the small things go a long way. You don't always need a AAA game to have fun and have a good time, and to be honest, this game is enjoyable than most AAA games I played. The game is fun, it's horrifying, and it shows the devs are obviously true fans of survival horror. They even have a lot of Easter eggs from the Resident Evil series, such as Earth being lined up in a healthy display, or there's no sexual discrimination here. they did a good job. And now my final verdict is an 8 out of 10. Well, it's flawed in some areas. This is a great game and it's a must buy. And honestly, don't take my word for it. There's a demo up on the PlayStation Store. You could give it a whirl. I mean, I'm not sure. I think it's on other platforms. But give it a whirl. But if you don't agree with me, let me know down in the comments. Anyway, this is Eastside Rage signing out. Keep raging out. I'll catch you on the next stream.